Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick dev video and show the kind of the behind the scenes of the 3DO Mortal Kombat port so far, and show the dev tools that I'm using to work on it, kind of how it looks behind the scenes, and some of the tools that I've been using to work on it and to do 3DO development. I posted a video yesterday and it crashed when I loaded Shang Tsung because some of his animation frames are not loaded properly. So we can go through and fix that as well. And then I wanted to go over the tool that I built in the game for sprite positioning, which is probably the most time-consuming part of this whole process. So right now I've got the game loaded up in 4DO, which is an emulator. The video I posted yesterday was actually in hardware, but it's much faster, obviously, to just compile and then load it up in an emulator. Real quick. These are what the fighter structs and the arena structs look like for the game. And some other behind the scenes things for just maintaining game state. So I'm going to show one of the fighters as an example of what the graphics look like before being converted to 3DO cells. So here's Baraka as an example. He's got 168 sprites in his basic, just for his basic animation, so this doesn't include specials or fatalities or things like that. So to convert these graphics to 3DO cells, I'm using Trapexit's 3it tool after they've been cropped and exported in Photoshop. Now to keep the file size low, all of the fighters are either 16 color 4-bit per pixel or 32 color 6-bit per pixel. 32 color looks way better. I think the original arcade graphics were 64 color if I'm not mistaken, but due to limited memory we're reducing these to 32 color wherever possible. Jax had to be reduced to 16 color 4-bit per pixel just because he's larger than the other fighters. So I'm just going to show real quick the process of converting the bitmaps into 3DO cells. So these have all already been exported and indexed at 32 colors. So I wrote this wrapper tool around the 3it tool, which is command line. So I'm going to select 6-bit per pixel, magenta is transparent. This folder here is the source folder. And we're going to output them into this folder here. And then run it. Super fast. So Trapexit, as he's known on the 3DO Discord server and GitHub and probably other places, maintains 3dodev.com, and he developed this graphic conversion tool called 3it. Without getting into detail, it converts multiple modern graphic formats into 3DO graphics called cells. And then when that's done, I'm going to write another script, or this tool is going to put out another script that's going to concatenate all the cell files just into one single file. That makes the file loading and the memory fragmentation, the 3DO, so the file loading is way faster, and then any memory fragmentation that would have occurred by loading all these different individual files goes away, since now we're just loading one single file. The file size is still going to remain the same, so with Baraka it's 433K, so it'll still be 433K just in one single file. So we'll do that now. So I'll call this. Oops. Execute batch and run. So here's the new concatenated cell. It's all the same graphics, just put into one single file. And then this would get loaded into the 3DO, and then when we load it, I'll show you what that looks like real quick. So we would call load fighter, so in this case here's Baraka specifically. We give it, or we load the cell, the concatenated cell on disk, and then it goes through and it iterates through every single one of the cells inside the concatenated cell. And it's just keeping track of a pointer to the specific graphic for every one. other thing that we have to do is adjust the sprite position for every single sprite. So every fighter's got around 180 sprites, and there's 12 fighters, plus, you know, Shao Kahn and the other fighters. Every sprite needs to have its XY offset positioned properly so that the animations look right. So I made this tool here that's got a white cell as a background, and then the fighter's first animation frame I put in the back here as a shadow, and I'll move them out of the way just so you can see what that looks like. So that's just a reference point, and then we can use that to determine what the XY offset has to be for every frame from there. So you can see for Baraka here, the top two numbers, and they're all based at 100. So none of the X has to be adjusted at all. The X positions are all fine, but the Y position, depending on the frame, has to be adjusted. You can see it's going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Otherwise, it would, it look like he was kind of moonwalking or kind of moving all over the place. I can move to the different animation frames, or the animation states rather. So you can see his walk animation needs to be adjusted. That's his turn. His punch, if you can see where his feet are, they're high and to the right of where his forefoot is, which is what I'm using as kind of a pivot point. His uppercut's already been corrected. Alright, let's do his roundhouse kick first. So I'm going to pause that. I'm going to move. So here's the very first animation frame. So his front foot, we're going to have it pivot, kind of hinge around that point right there. You can see where his ankle is for his front foot. Make sure it's the height. It's about where the other one is, right there. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but if it's very close, it looks fine. So his first frame on his roundhouse kick. So these are base 100, so we have to, the X adjustment has to be back 12, and then the Y is going to be increased by 1. So if we go to Baraka, I'm going to find his roundhouse kick. Alright, right now none of his frames have been adjusted at all, so frame 0 is going to be back 12 and then down 1. The next frame, the X is fine, Y is going to go down 14. Now we're going to go over 9, down 27. Over 15, down 7. Over 17, down 24. Back 8, down 14. Back 24 and the Y is fine. And then for his last frame, looks like back 6 and up 2. Okay, so we'll save that, close the game, recompile. Let's see how it looks. This is the most time-consuming part of the whole thing. This has to be done for every fighter, for every single animation frame. Let's test it in game. pretty good. Alright, we'll go back into positioning mode again. Alright, if I slow it down. Alright, this one's off. So frame 5 needs to be back 8, down 14. I must have done something wrong. So frame 5, back 8, oh, down 14. That's why. And 6 is good. Yeah, that 1 you can see is off. Kind of a funky little black square over here too. I wonder if it's part of the graphic that doesn't belong there. In any case, we can do a sweep kick as well while we're here. So back to frame 0. Alright. So this sweep kick, we're going to start off back 10, down 26. We're going to hinge off his front foot again. One more. Alright, so now back 20, down 56. Back 20, down 71. Back 20, down 79. And this is the frame also that does damage too, so you can set that while we're here. I should have done it for the roundhouse kick also. Alright, so go back 21 here, down 79 again. This is frame 4, so this is the one that's going to do damage. So damage, we'll say equals 10. The damage type. Okay. It's a little tricky because I can't see his foot that well. I'll be right about here. So back 15, down 53. And here we're just going to kind of send them. Back 20 again, down 24. And that should be it. Yep. Alright, we'll see how that looks. It should also do sweep damage now because we set the on frame 4 we gave it a damage amount and a damage type. So if I just gave it a damage type and no damage amount, it would still knock back the other fighter or knock them down. It just wouldn't take away any of their health. So their health is reduced by the amount that we specify in the damage here. And every fighter starts with 128 HP, and that's because that's the width of the health bar. So just worked out nice and clean. contrast looks better. Yep, looks good. It won't do any damage though, because we didn't specify that it was a damage frame. But the sweep does what it's supposed to. Yeah, you can see the down kick, how it gets wonky. Any of the short frames like that have to get their Y positions especially pushed way down. And you can see how his feet move up and down. All his punch frames need to get set also. His kick is way too slow. That's adjusted with the frame delay. No kick, same thing. So it's both the X and the Y offset and the frame delay that needs to get assigned for each fighter on a frame by frame basis. So let's back out of here. Next thing I want to do is figure out why Shang Tsung was crashing yesterday. Jax also had kind of a funky frame also. When he was jumping, it looked like he was trying to, he has like a back break animation, that's one of his specials. That shouldn't be loaded yet, so something got loaded out of order with him. So with Shang Tsung, I'm going to go into the positioning mode. And if I go through all his animations one at a time, there's going to be some that don't load. And that's where it would have crashed on hardware. Yep, right there. So what's happening is he has repeated frames. So when it loads from the concatenated cell, it's going to be loading the first 4 frames or whatever it is, and then for frame 5, 6, 7, 8, it's just going to be reusing the same pointers as the first ones, but those are not being set for him for his actual like in-game stance. It's being set up front. So when I did the character select, if I select him, you can see that the animation is fine. This file load is a little bit different because it loads, so every single fighter is loaded at the same time for the fighter selection, but only the stance frame and the victory pose. So it's the animation frames and states are set in 2 different places. So if we go to Shang Tsung, so we've got all the arenas, and then I'm going to go to Fighter Shang Tsung. Alright, his victory pose has 11 frames. Alright, and so these functions right here, this is where on the Choose Your Fighter screen, where it loads only the stance and the pose for every single fighter. This right here is not going to be happening, I'm sure, when we load the full basic set once you actually choose the fighter. So if we go down to the down at the bottom here, all it's going to be loading is the first 5 frames or whatever in his frame set. So we need to assign the rest of these to match. So this is where he does his laugh and then he kind of repeats and goes down and then back up the laugh frames. These weren't being set previously, so they were just being set to, you know, just garbage memory locations, and that was causing the crashing. So I want to pull up the batch file that was created with his concatenated cell. This is where all the batches live, and if I go to Shang Tsung, we open this up. And we go to his victory pose, which is going to be down at the bottom. Yeah, 1, 2, yeah, he only has 5 frames. So his total animation has 11 frames. So as it was iterating through and loading the graphic from the concatenated cell, it hit 5, and then the next, some from index position 5 down to 10 were just nothing. So that's why we have to set these manually. And this is done in other spots too. So for like punches, for example, where you're reusing animation frames, this type of thing is being done. So you load, go back up in here, show flip is another example also. We're doubling up the animation frames in a lot of cases here. And this is done for a couple of reasons. The jump flips are a little bit different. And a jump up or a jump frame, there's a secondary spot that's adjusting the XY offsets. And then while you're jumping and going through your jump animation where you go up and down, you can have it all animation frame as well. So jump kick, jump punch, things like that. There's going to be specials as well. But I wanted that to be very granular. So that's why there's so many different jump flip animation frames. So you're actually moving up and down more frequently than it's switching animation frames. So anyways, now that we fixed that, I'm going to recompile again. Can't build it because it's running. I'm going to go backwards now to his victory pose. Yep, now it's good. Looks like it's actually delaying the frames kind of funky. Let's go down to where we're setting. Let's see. Alright, so every frame is delayed for 8 V blanks except for number 7. Yeah, that's not how it's supposed to be set. So let's copy what we did for his Choose Your Fighter animation. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. For a second. Alright, so frame 10 should be held the longest, so let's replay that. Yeah, I think it's just wrong in general. So frame 10, we'll set the long delay. And then when he goes back like that, so frame 4 should have a little bit of a longer delay, I'm thinking. Let's make everything be 6. So that's 6 V blanks, 1/10 of a second. And then we'll override frame 4. Will be 8, it's just a second longer. And then when he holds his head back like that, that'll be about 3/4 of a second. Let's try that. Close this. Pretty good. I want to delay it just a little bit longer. So frame 4, we'll change it to 12. I'm not going to recompile it, but that'll be fine. next thing we need to do, I'm going to go back to Baraka. And let's get his roundhouse kick working properly. These damage amounts are kind of arbitrary right now. I'm going to have to go back and fix them. Actually, I don't know why I closed the game. We need it. This could be roundhouse. My 3D arena. And there's 3 different versions of every arena, so if you press A, B, or C, when you select it, it'll give you a different version, which is generally just a different background graphic, but sometimes the arena itself is affected too. Alright, so if you go to this roundhouse frame, or state rather. Okay. Right there. So frame 3 is the one that's going to be doing the damage. So 3. Okay. Just want to make sure that the animation looks good, and it does. He pivots on his heel. Okay. We're going to go back now to the punch animations. Okay. Might as well do turn while we're here also. Actually, let's just do them all. Alright. So his walk animation. Alright, so frame 0. Alright, every one of the frames right here, so you can see it's back about 2 from the front of the black on his face. Alright. Alright, so we'll start at frame 0. So if we come back 8 and down 3, this is his walk. So frame 0, we're going to come back 8, down 3. Next frame, come back 4. The rest should be good, I'm thinking. Alright, this is frame 8 now. Let's see. Oops. Yeah, so we need to come back 3. And the height, I think, is wrong on one of them. Looks like a couple, actually. Okay, so frame 2 and 1. It's hard to tell. Frame 2 definitely needs to come down 1. So instead of -3, it's going to be -2. Nope, I'm wrong. -4. Alright, let's move on to the next. Knock it out while we're here. And I'm going to line up his foot, and I'm going to center him a little bit. Alright, so for his turn frame, 4, and then -1, and the next frame, it's fine right there, over 2, back 2, turn speed, the delay needs to be 2, they need to turn very quickly. The walk delay also needs to be faster, otherwise it looks like they're moonwalking, so we're going to set the frame delay to 4 while they're walking. Alright, low punch A, low punch B. So I'm going to flip this because high punch is actually loaded from the concatenated cell before low punch is. And there's 3 punch states. There's high punch A, B, and C. C is like A, it's just ordered a little differently. High punch C. Okay. Alright. So right about there. Alright. So high punch A. Back 2, and the Y is fine. Back 5 and down 2. Alright, damage. That's good. Alright, we actually need to do the same thing for, oops, for B and C. And then C's, so the damage type, that affects how the your opponent is affected by the attack. The animation that they perform. Alright, and yep, it's A for both of these. Alright, so we're going to move on to the next state now. High punch B. Back 7. Down 3. Back 7. Down 2. Back 4, down 2. Alright, now we're at the next state again, which is high punch C. Different variation of high punch A, just starts at a different frame. That's right. Alright, back 7, down 3 again. Back 7 and down 3. And the last one, back 7, down 4. Which is the same as this frame here. Alright, those punches all work. So I'm going to close this. And test them out. Alright, so his walk is close, but something's still off a little bit. Yeah, so this one's got to come forward one. The height on frame 2 is off still. And moves forward at that frame. Let's go down to his punches and see. Alright, here's his turn. That punch looks good. That punch looks good. That punch looks good. Those are the low punches, which we haven't done yet. I'm not going to do those now, but we'll get to those. It's a little overwhelming. Alright, let's just finish up his walking stance, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Alright, so this frame needs to come down and forward, it looks like. Down twice and forward. Yeah. Okay. So frame 2 for Baraka's walk. His X needs to be at 0. And the Y needs to be -2. Okay. What's this frame 0? as well, it looks like. Right, let's see what that looks like. One is still off. Oh, half of them are. Alright. So what I'm going to do is, just to keep them a little bit more centered relative to that stance frame, I'm going to say that frames 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are good. And 8, 0, 1, and 2 need to come back one. 8, 0, 1, and 2. 0, 1, and 2. Just to confirm. Yeah, so 0. Yeah. So this is going to be 9, 5. I know this is painful and boring, but this is where the majority of the development is spent. Okay. Press B to animate it. Oh my god. Frame 2, I missed. Frame 2 has to come back one, then we're done. Alright, walk 2 has to be -1. Alright, one more time. Compile, build. I'm just going to test it one more time in this frame position mode. Then we'll go into casual mode so I can test to make sure that his punches actually do damage. There we go. Okay. Stop button to back out again. Casual mode. I'll pick Baraka, and then just pick any other fighter, it doesn't matter. I'm going to press, I'm going to go to this one and pick one of the alternate backgrounds. Okay. So I'm expecting damage in all 3 punch frames. Yep, so Sub-Zero is not animated properly. It's also kind of funny there's no blood. Let's see why that is. Back out. But simply that for sure is good. So Liu Kang and Reptile are both fully loaded. Guess there's no blood in a punch. Actually, none of the blood drips are working. That's interesting. Why is that? Let me back all the way out. See if something got broken mid-game. I actually might have a theory. So do the blood drips work now? Where the heck did the blood drips go? Okay, it's weird. Alright, so let's start with where they get loaded. Blood drips here, and then we have a parent frame, or parent cell rather. Blood. Data various blood. The blood cell. Okay, I have 8 these blood drip cells. They'll get chained together. Alright, so I had to stop recording for a minute and do a little bit of digging to see why the blood cells aren't working. What's happening is they're just not showing up. And the reason for that is because the way that you handle z-indexing in the 3DO is the order that you chain the cells together. So if I have one cell and then I set the CCB next pointer to another cell, the next cell is going to be positioned on top of this cell because it's going to draw this one, then this one, then this one, then this one in that order. During the animation, whichever fighter most recently pressed a button is the one that becomes the topmost fighter is how I'm doing it. And when I'm rechaining them together, I'm not chaining them in the right order. So I'm missing out on the blood drip cells when I'm rechaining them. So when the fight starts, here's the order that everything gets chained in. So player 1 shadow to player 2 shadow, player 2 shadow to the blood drips, which are in the behind the fighters, so they're between the shadow and the fighters. And then after the last blood drip, and these are pre-chained, so 0 to 7 are already chained together, to P1, P1 to P2. So really what I need to flip-flop is blood drip 7 is going to get chained to either cell 1 to cell 2, or cell 2 to cell 1. So we'll go back to that function where we're flipping the cell chaining right here. So we'll correct this. So it's not going to be cell P2 shadow that's going to be chained. It's going to be the blood cell 7, blood cell index 7. So just for reference, yeah. So blood drip 7 right here. This is the one that we're going to change. So it's not P2 because it doesn't go directly from P2 shadow to the player. It goes from the blood drip to the player. So we want P2 and then P1. So blood drip 7, P2, P2 to P1, and nothing else really needs to change. P2, just confirm this is good, P2, P1. Actually, no, we do, yeah. So we'll keep it like that. So it wasn't the P2 shadow that needs to get rechained, it's the blood drip at index 7. And this will be P1, P1 to P2, P2. And I'm going to repaste what I had before just to make sure that the P2 originally was chained. Or P, yeah, so player 1, who is positioned by default on top of player 2, is chained directly to blood uppercut 1. So now if I save this, compile, thinking our blood's going to be visible again. Let's go back to where we were before with Baraka. Shaun with a different background. Alright, start with an uppercut. There we go. So all the blood drip frames right now, or sprites, they follow the same animation path as if they're an uppercut. So that needs to get corrected. That's on the to-do list. Alright, reptile now, just to make sure. So, you can see that reptile is on top. Oops. Yeah, when I move, you can see that it switches to that Baraka's on top. His victory pose needs to get repositioned properly as well. Reptile, just to make sure that his blood's doing what it's supposed to. Yeah, as I move him forward, you can see he's on top. If I move Baraka forward, now he's on top. Oops. 2 players on a keyboard are kind of funky. Yeah, so Baraka's kick. I need to specify which of these frames does damage, and I'm sure they need to be positioned properly as well. I still have an issue where player 2, it doesn't matter if you're on the right side of the screen, any attack is going to do damage. So, still a few things on the to-do list that we got to fix, but we're getting there. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll try and post update videos a little bit more frequently now, because making progress pretty quickly when I have time to work on it, and that's the biggest problem, is just finding time to work on it. So, thanks everyone.